Have you ever wondered this? Have you ever asked this sort of question to the universe or something? Where has the time gone? Yeah, where has the time gone? Maybe it's that feeling that you can't believe how much time has passed, whether it's when you're looking at your kids or your grandkids as they're growing up, or whether it's about a friend who you hadn't seen in a while, or maybe just looking in the mirror in the morning. Where has the time gone? Kids, you guys ask this question all the time, right? You're having fun playing, and then all of a sudden, time to come in for dinner. Where did the afternoon go? Where did that time go? There's this saying that we have, time flies when you're having fun, right? And even though time is really just ticking at the same speed, sometimes it can just pass just like that. Now, on the other hand, sometimes time can go so slowly, right? I know the kids know what I'm meaning, right? Your parents, you're hanging around for your parents, waiting on them, and you're like, I'm bored. Do we have to wait? When I was a kid in church, my mom was the minister, and my dad was in the kitchen cleaning up, and I was just hanging around the church, and time just going so slowly. And I call it the coffee hour hover. And I would just hover near my parents. I wouldn't ask them because I knew they would say, be patient. I would just catch their eye. Time to go. Time can go so slowly. And there's a saying for that too. We say a watch pot never boils. And that means that when we focus on something, the thing that we're waiting for, it always seems to take longer, like waiting for a pot of water to boil. And so time is this funny thing, and I wanted to talk about time. I have this rock on my desk. I meant to bring it, but there's another thing I forgot this morning. I have a rock on my desk. I got the rock from Camp Kintail. How many of you have been to Camp Kintail before? Have you been to Camp Kintail? And I got it on the beach there, and I was thinking about that rock a lot because it's just sitting on my desk there. And I was like, I wonder how old this rock is. And so I did a little Googling and estimated that rock is somewhere between 400 million years old and 2.3 billion years old. That is an old rock. Just think of how time would feel to that rock. You know, things that we think take forever would be just a breath for a rock like that. That rock has been around before any of you kids were born. The rock was around before I was born. The rock was around before anybody here in the church was born. The rock was here before the colonizers came over, and it was here before the indigenous people had even set foot on Turtle Rock. That rock has been around for it all. Civilizations have come, and civilizations have gone, and that rock has remained a rock. And that reminds me that no matter how we experience time, whether fast or slow, in the grand scheme of things, our lives on this planet are short. And the Bible teaches that. The Bible compares our lifespan, something that we often think is very long, to things like grass that's here one day and gone the next, or a vapor that just disappears into the air, or a shadow. Life is fleeting, the Bible says. And we've been reading this book together, and the author, Brian McLaren, he puts this sort of time in perspective by reminding us about one important thing. This is what he says: we are not the first ones here. We are not the first ones here, right? People were here before us. And I think we forget that sometimes, which is why I think it's a good practice here that Gale shares the land acknowledgement each Sunday, whether up on the screen or read from the front, because we remember that there were people who came before us. We're not the first ones here. People were here taking care of the land. And I think that gives us a better view of our time and place in it. And it also reminds us that because of things like colonization and war and disease and assimilation efforts like residential schools and genocide, it reminds us that there was a great civilization that came before us and is now just a shadow of its former self. We are not the first ones here. But yet, despite all of the atrocities, Indigenous people of Canada have proven resilient, making great strides to reclaim culture and language, religion and stories, traditional ways, and the land. And so when we do things like participate in a smudging, or when we take in the beauty of Indigenous art, or when we hear the story of Sky Woman, we remember we are not the first ones here. And that is good news for us. And it's good news for our world falling apart. Because there's much that we can learn from Indigenous people who have witnessed their world fall apart and have lived to tell the tale. And so there is Indigenous wisdom that we need. And so as we think of about the vastness of time this morning and the mere breadth of it that is our lives, I thought we could draw on some Indigenous teaching this morning to help us. And I need some volunteers. So I need 7 volunteers. And maybe of many different generations. Can I have 7 volunteers? Anyways, Bill's always good to volunteer. Yeah, come on up, Daniel. Here, why don't you, we're going to put this out because we're going to make a mess. Okay. I got 1, 2. You want to come up? Oh, anybody can come up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so I want 7 people to stand in a line. Maybe Bill, you stand here, because you're the oldest here so far. You go on this side, and we'll line up tallest to shortest. I need 3 more people, 3 more volunteers. Come on, there's Vicky. Awesome. Finn's going to come up, and Christina. Don't say that. Okay, I got 1. So why don't Vicky, you come here. Deb, come on this side too. And yeah, just move the line down. We'll try and all fit on the blanket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then Finn on the end. There we go. Awesome. Stand a little bit on the thing because I don't want you guys to make a mess through this, okay? Okay. So here we're going to say this is the 7 generations. And this is a teaching, a Haudenosaunee teaching. And it teaches that when we make decisions, that we need to be thinking 7 generations down the line when we're making those decisions, and how our decisions today will affect the 7th generation down the line. And so by using this principle, we can pass on to generations and generations the things that are important to us that we enjoy today. So here's what I'd like you to do. In your groups right now, sort of just with the people you're around, just ask yourself, share with yourself, what are some things that are important that you want to ensure that we can pass to the 7th generation, okay? Just discuss that. You guys discuss it amongst yourself. What are some things that you'd like to pass to the 7th generation, generation after generation? Just take 30 seconds to do that. Turn to your friends and neighbors.
But don't put it in your mouth.
No, we're not going to put
Compassion. Compassion.
Okay, what do you guys think? Okay, I'm going to get my line back in line here. And somebody have an idea of something important that they want to pass on to the next generation? And just put your hand. What do you put? I heard respect. Okay, respect for one another, respect for our planet. Okay, so this egg represents respect. Okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to have our generations, they're going to try and pass respect down the line to the later generations, okay? You think that's going to be easy or hard? Maybe hard. I didn't say the 7th generation principle was easy. Okay. I'm not going to tell them whether it's hard-boiled or not, okay? So I'm going to give it here, and you're going to pass it on to the next generation here. Very good. Maybe cheer them on. Everybody's holding their breath. Woo! Hey! Okay. So that's respect. Respect made it. That's amazing. We'll just put that right there. Okay, what's another thing that we want to pass on to the 7th generation? Love. Oh, I love that, Finn. That's great. Okay, so this egg represents love. Let's see if we can do that again, gang.
Yeah, we have to
Okay.
do it 3 times. Patience, right? You did it.
Woo! Hey! Excellent. Love made it too. That's good. I really wanted love to make it to the 7th generation. What's another thing that we want to pass on to the 7th generation? Yeah. Clean air. Okay, so this egg represents clean air.
You already failed this, so I mean,
Oh, they're getting better at it, I think. Oh! They were hard-boiled. Ha ha. I think we're on track with that. That sounds right. I think how many generations of clean air do we have? It's okay.
All right, we're going to carry on.
We're going to carry on.
Persevering.
it's not cracked at all. It's not cracked at all.
Clean air is a tricky one to pass on, maybe.
It is cracked though.
It is cracked. So, we got mostly clean air to the 7th generation. We persevered. Excellent. Tell me about that. Was that easy? Was that hard? What did you have to do to make sure the egg got along?
Like this, so that like I saw some people going under. No.
You had to cooperate. Okay, teamwork. Yeah. You had to breathe.
That was stressful, I tell you.
Yep, just take your time and be intentional with your moves. Yeah. Be patient. That's right. Yeah, these are all great answers. What I'm hearing here is that we need to be mindful and careful and intentional and work together to pass the egg. And in the same way, we need to be mindful, careful, intentional, patient, and work together in how we want to pass the things on to the next generation. I've got one more illustration for you. You can give me your spoons back. This one is much more enjoyable than the other one.
It might be better.
Less scary for the congregation. Okay, so Oreos here. These Oreos are going to represent, we're going to pretend that they are a natural resource. You might call them iron Oreos. Get it? Iron Oreos. Okay. So we're going to pretend this is a natural resource, and I'm going to give this to the first person. I'm going to open it here. There we go. I'm going to give this to the first person in line. And Deb, since you're the first generation,
Yes, I'm older than
you can choose to keep all the Oreos for yourself, or you can keep whatever you want for yourself and pass whatever you want on to the next generation. Now, you guys at the end might be wanting, don't take any Oreos, leave some for me. But you guys aren't born yet. Okay? So only the next generation can haggle with the person about how many Oreos they're going to take. But it is up to Deb to decide how many Oreos Deb's going to pass on. Oh, what are you going to do, Deb? Going to take one? How are you guys feeling down there? Bill just left.
He's claiming it now.
Can you get it out of there? Maybe just take the one then. Get the other one out. There we go. That was easy. Keep passing it. There we go. Now look at how many that Finn gets to take home. That's pretty good. There's a whole other row left. So that's very good. I love how we started with one, and then everyone's sort of taking 2, 1, and setting an example for down the road. And you know what? And I think about when we think about these Oreos and sharing our things, not only do we need, when passing things down the road, we need to be careful and intentional and patient and working together, but we also need to be selfless and generous to the next generation as well. Let's give our volunteers a round of applause. Thank you for coming. You guys can go back to your seats with a little snack for later. The 7 generations principle reminds me about the psalm that we read today, which talks about passing the stories of God's faithfulness on to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And, it strikes me how quickly the stories of our faith can be lost if one generation chooses simply not to share those stories, to share what's important to the next generation. And that happened in Israel. They failed to sort of share the stories. And then later on, somebody be like, they found the stories and why didn't we know these stories? It's important to pass things on to the next generation. And it also reminds me of Jesus' words to his disciples that we read today, when he asked them to deny themselves, to take up their cross and follow him. Rather than living just for themselves, for their time, Jesus is inviting the disciples to be part of something much bigger than themselves, to save their lives and the lives of those in the future through acts and a life of service. And that selflessness is what our faith calls us to. And I believe that that's a teaching that we need today, more than ever. A teaching that doesn't just tell us to love our neighbor, but to love our neighbor of the 7th generation, the neighbor we haven't even met yet, who will come in the future, many generations from now. Because we know that our time here is short, and there are countless generations who are coming after us. What will their life be like? What shape will our planet be in for them? Will they be telling the stories of faith? That's something that we can't know. All we can do is what is ours to do, and that is to pass on a world that we want our children and our children's children and our children's children's children and our, I'm getting on, to pass on what we want them to inherit. And if we are intentional and mindful and careful and work together, and if we're willing to sacrifice like Jesus, be generous with our lives, just like Jesus called his disciples to do, maybe those generations, maybe they will be the ones that remember that they are not the first ones here. Amen.